Welcome back, Dave and John.
Really good to be back.
It is a pleasure, people.
And today is one of our favorite episodes to record. It's our 2025 end of the year recap. We've had another great year with many guests on the 360 of energy and carbon. And we're going to highlight some of our favorite episodes as we go through the next couple questions. So Dave and John, I hope you have your best foot forward today.
Well, we're going to see.
Yeah, I think
We're
we are
going
going
to see.
to.
We're going to see.
Yeah.
And as always, Dave and John give their personal spiel, and I'm going to be representing our audience. So based on our statistics over the last year, I'll let you guys know what our listeners thought were their favorite episodes. So to kick off this episode, what were some of the most valuable episodes for our listeners, in your opinion?
It feels that this is rather like that question at one level of who are your favourite children?
Yes.
I equally think, have you ever played the game, and sometimes you do it around this time of year, what are your top 3 Christmas movies? And you put down 3 and then you see some more and you change your mind and then you think. And I think just before this I was talking to David and I think we both have had the same thing. We've had a stab at it and then thought, oh yeah, well, depends how you're looking at it. So Here's my 3 that I'm going to suggest are important ones and worth listening to. That said, didn't we cover a lot in the year? And, that's interesting. So, number 1 I'm going to go for is episode 147, which was Catherine O'Brien, the Leaders Series, Nestlé's Journey to Sustainability. I always like it when we can get, we talk about it, but when we've got somebody who's done it and done it with a big corporation like Nestlé, I think that's interesting. Although I guess some of our listeners will go, yeah, that's all right for Nestlé, but we're not them. And then you'll get somebody in a smaller company goes, well, it's easy to do it in a small or in a big company. Oh, it's easier to do it in a small company, not a big company. So I think that's an important one. Okay. Number 2 on my list, I'm picking one of our internal recordings. Why not? And I'm going for episode 158, The Critical Issues of Energy Security. You're laughing, Dave. Have you gone for that as well?
I'll save mine till you're finished, John.
I'm laughing for a reason as well.
Yeah. And I thought this was particularly interesting because I think something that's come through to me this year, and when we did our COP30 podcast, it struck me. There seems to be, unfortunately, an acceptance that things are going to change and we're not going to put everything right. And having energy security is probably going to hit people before some of the bigger climate change things. And I mean, it really struck me with, I was looking at a piece of work for somebody in Portugal. And one of the things they were saying was, and can we add on to an energy audit, having a look at our resilience and security? And you think, why is that? And then you suddenly remember that over this year, there was a major grid outage in the Iberian Peninsula. And this is bringing people's attention to energy far quicker than perhaps global warming and changes like that. So that was that one. Then for my 3rd one, I've gone back a bit. I've gone to episode 153 with Helena Sarin talking about Finland's pathway to carbon neutrality. Because I know some Finnish people and that made me want to listen to it particularly. But I thought we come away again from COP30 talking about, well, countries have got to get on and do something. And here we have a country that's doing something. And why is it doing it? It's a mixture of their culture, their leadership, and a number of other things. And I think both companies and countries could learn from episode 153. So that was my 3 that I've picked out as being, you should listen to these.
So I'll go now. And so when we were saying three, that's not number one, isn't the top one. It's just part of the three, right?
Yes, I'd
Okay.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is going to be a short episode, this piece. So to be clear, my one was 144 on how Australia is dominating sustainable finance.
Yeah.
And why I thought that was so important is that finance, well, some people say marketing's driving the world, but finance actually drives the world. Like without money, it's pretty hard to do something. And it seemed to me what we heard and learned from Nicole that this whole sustainable finance is now permeating throughout the whole organized country, and that people are thinking of how they need to advance environmental and energy practices, but using financing and ensuring that gets done. So I thought that was one that I
Yeah.
thought.
Good point.
The next one is 147, Catherine O'Brien, which I think, John, you just said.
I
Right?
went to the first one, 146.
Okay, fair enough.
No,
So we
sorry.
are different.
No, I did. I did. You're right. It's
We went
147. We both
147.
agree.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So that's
Rewind.
why I was smiling, because I'm going, yes. And by the way, for our listeners, this does not happen that often. So for John and I to, okay.
Completely agree
And
on
for
these.
all the reason that John said, because I thought she conveyed it. It wasn't just, oh, we think we should do it. It's because it really impacts the products that they uh, manufacture, produce, is really dependent on the environment. So they have to do this, or else they don't have a company. So that was, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say it in such a way. So it was like it's deep rooted in their thinking. Okay. And then, John, I have the same thing. I have energy security. So so you guys can see, I literally had the same thing as John had. Really, really weird,
How
because
did
it
we
doesn't
do
happen.
that?
Yeah.
Well,
So,
Oh
and
dear. We're now going
and
to find out what our listeners think.
yeah. I'm going to just reinforce, John, what you're saying, because this whole energy security, and we've conveyed, like, we're at NATO July 2nd, and I thought, wow, this is really, if NATO sees this as a critical issue, and it's not just for military reasons, but for the economy stability, and they're thinking that way, that's really something. So, you gave great evidence of Portugal, but we could talk about a variety of jurisdictions that once they have
Absolutely.
energy outages, it's an issue. Our customers have energy issues. It's a problem. Like, it's a economic issue for them. So anyhow, that's what I had.
Your point there, just before we go off that, I've often thought, I can remember years back being in a factory, in the boardroom, and somebody was saying, well, really energy's not that important, is it? And I said, what if I phoned down to your facilities engineer and got him to throw the main breaker and shut the power supply off? Well, you couldn't do that. That would be catastrophic. And was it Benjamin Franklin? You don't appreciate water until the well runs dry. So I'm wondering whether, resilience, security, and that is perhaps a pathway that we should all be exploring more.
I think so.
okay, so I get to cheat because I am the producer and I have 5 episodes. You're
Five!
not allowed to do that,
Wow.
but I am. Okay, so our listeners really gravitated towards episodes that focused on energy, finance, and operational sustainability. There are some that overlap with what you both have said. Our first episode is episode 144, Nicole Yesbick Martin, How Australia is Dominating Sustainable Finance. And what we think this one stood out for is really why policy alignment matters in accelerating investment. A lot of our listeners played close attention to that episode, and I think that was a really good example. Our next episode, this should be no surprise. This guest is a reoccurring top favorite on every single one of our recap episodes.
John Norman.
Episode 143, John Norman, Innovative Energy Storage with HydroStore. Our
Yeah.
listeners love listening to John. We love listening to John. I'm sure we'll have him on next year. But this episode broke down long duration storage in a practical way, and it helped people understand what it takes to stabilize a decarbonized grid. So John does a really great explanation on long duration storage. So really good episode to listen to. Now, our next episode, also a reoccurring guest, episode 157, Henning Gloystein, Inside Europe's Energy Pivot.
Yeah.
So our listeners here would have valued probably the geopolitical insight, especially at the time that this episode was uploaded, and how Europe is restructuring its energy system under pressure and shifting away from old dependencies. So that was really what that episode highlighted. And no surprise, this is kind of, John and Dave don't know this, but I did get our Spotify Wrapped, which is our annual statistics. I got it last night. And our fifth country, number 5, is UK. So that could really be why we see some Henning Gloystein in our top. But
Yes, could be, couldn't it?
yeah, but just as a FYI, our top countries, number 1 is Canada, number 2 is the US, number 3 is Colombia, number 4 is Indonesia, and number 5 is the UK. So just a little tidbit. Yeah.
Wish I understood that.
I know.
Yeah.
You know what? We did have a guest from Colombia.
Columbia, yeah.
Yes,
that
we
could-
did, didn't we?
Yes, we did. So that could be why.
That was the
But
carbon
very interesting
certification,
topic.
wasn't it?
Yeah. And we'll be talking about them, I'm sure, in some of the questions that you're going to be asking, Lysandra.
Yes. So there's a little snippet of some of our stats. Our 4th episode, episode 158, internal recording of the critical issues of energy security. So we made it on the list, guys. They like to hear us. Really here, what we think our listeners took away is why energy security underpins everything, from industry stability to national strategy. Energy security, like John said, is everything and more.
Yeah.
And last one should be no surprise. I'm assuming it's later down your list, but our leader series, Louis Chabonte, Energy Management Secrets from a Top Greenhouse Expert. Now,
did think about that one.
Yeah. So this is a really great episode. Louis is very great of kind of talking about day-to-day operations and was probably a really good listen for our listeners. I think they loved hearing from someone who manages energy daily and translates theory into practice. So those were our top 5 from the listeners' end.
Nice.
Okay, well, that's interesting, and it's always interesting that what we think is interesting and what listeners are, and I guess that's because we're coming from a slightly different viewpoint. But that is good. That is good.
Okay, our next question. What episode had the biggest impact on the way you think?
Okay, I'll start up on this one.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So the first one was Stephen Shork about the hedging the future with AI, renewables, and the energy shakeup. So Stephen is a common guest. Every year we have him. But every year he gets into a little more detail on how the market is evolving and how it's changing. And I think we've conveyed this maybe in the podcast, or that we see the growth of how people think, even our guests every year. So what he was talking about and how the market has changed, like, using algorithms and stuff like that. But what I picked up, he said that's still really important, but there's nothing better than actually speaking to people directly and learning as opposed to just relying on the algorithms, which I thought, well, okay, that's kind of old school, but it kind of reinforced the importance of that still communication. That's what I recall from that piece. Number 2 was Helena Serra, the 153, which you mentioned. John, I'm going to echo this. I thought, wow, if this country, now that's a small country, and that's I think a big part of why they're so successful in what they're doing. But how they have done this throughout their whole society, and she was conveying, which isn't energy related, but how the young kids are actually learned how to look at social media and look at data versus you being caught up in I thought it's fascinating how their society is going and how they're doing things in energy and in carbon. So I think you said this, Lysandra, I thought I got to move I got to move there. Like, it's just what they're doing is leading edge. And then I had Hennings for Inside Europe Energy Pivot. Why I really like that is he was conveying, like, we're doing this, but guess what? If we don't do this in 3 or 4 years, there's going to be a political shift, and we will dump the renewable piece. And that was a eye opener. Going, what? You've been doing this for so long, and you would consider changing? He's saying society, right? The society may not be interested in keep on going down this renewable, clean energy front if they find it economically not viable. And I thought, wow, that could happen. So that was kind of a really interesting thing for me. So those were the 3 that I had.
John, your turn.
Yeah. I am going to differ from David this
Oh,
time.
there we go.
Yeah, why not? And I'm putting 2 episodes together because they were by the same guest. And that was Tamara and exploring, well, it's 146 and 161 of the episodes. So that was Tamara, and I'm not going to try and pronounce her name because I can't remember from how we did it before. And exploring climate smart agriculture and sustainability in fresh produce and rethinking ESG and the energy behind your produce. These made me think a little more, and I think I've already picked up. I'm a fan of both coffee and chocolate, and I have picked up how both of those are getting impacted by climate change. And you suddenly realise, yeah, energy is really important, but food is as well, and how food is going to be impacted. And I hope I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot, but I think it was Tamara who had the comment that ESG reporting can be the death of sustainability.
Yeah, yes, I remember you saying that.
And my initial report was, hold on, this is good fee earning for consultants doing ESG reporting. You know, why on earth is this? Does she see this as a problem? And it caused me to go back and look at some of the people I've been doing ESG compliance work and things like that with. And I suddenly realised they have a group of people, depending on the size of the company, working year round just on reporting. And all the time they're reporting, that resource is not being used to make a change. And then this highlighted something with me that we've talked about before, about, and you'll see where I'm going to go with this, I hope. People say, oh, yes, we need to measure energy. We need to have better measurement on energy. And we know from our experience, there's a big mistake that people make, and that is they install meters on absolutely everything, and they measure everything to the ultimate degree, and then they get buried in a load of data. And I thought,
Yes.
is this not similar to the issue that we're talking about with ESG? And what else has happened with that is, of course, and I think it's happening in North America as well, but a lot of people are pushing to do their ESG reporting because they want the ratings agencies to say how good they are. There is now question about the quality of rating agencies and whether it's worth it or not. And then I would go back. You go back to, for example, Louis and the greenhouses. He's in produce and there. I don't think he's bothered about loads of ESG reporting. He sees a mix between doing business right, and it happens to be because you're in food, sustainability is almost something that you've got to have, isn't it? Because if we don't have sustainability, biodiversity or whatever, where's our fresh produce coming from? So I think that pair of podcasts, I don't want to say they gave me completely new thinking, but what they did do was some thinking I'd got sort of going on at a lower level, made it come up to the top and go, hold on, yeah. And maybe this is yet another way we engage people better with the impacts on what about climate change is, what are you going to eat? and where's it going to come from?
Well said, John. There's certainly the food sector. I mean, we talked about Nestle in the first question. Like it's all tied together.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you mentioned the like I'm sure in the last 12 months, coffee pricing has escalated.
It has,
right?
and the same
it's going to continue.
Chocolate.
It's probably going to continue.
Now there is an interesting sideline to this, and I'm not going to say this will happen, but I can remember talking to some Italians. Now, Italians are famous for roasting coffee and what they do with coffee. You know, if you want a coffee machine in your coffee shop, the chances are you buy Italian. They are the coffee masters. And there is apparently some discussion within Italy that with climate change and everything, maybe they could grow coffee in Italy.
I actually was thinking what you might want to buy shares in tea because coffee is going to get more and more expensive. So will people start drinking tea instead?
Yes. I mean, and here's interesting. I have sat in a number of meetings with sustainability professionals, and we've all been banging away at the coffee. And you're suddenly thinking, is this we should just be drinking tap water, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
But
and we might have to.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's interesting for us because I think when we get episodes like that, I'm not going to say we are silo thinkers because I think in 360 we're not, but we have a wheelhouse which is energy, and we tend to take our view from that wheelhouse. Sure. And I think when we talk to people like this and they just put a slightly different slant on it, I think it actually makes me realise what we're doing in energy is right, and a lot of the principles we've got, what we do with energy, are right, and they can be reflected through into sustainability.
Great.
All right, so I have some interesting ones here, and I think that you both would agree. First, I have episode 156 with Alex Sire, The Future of Carbon Certification with Sir Sarvano.
Yes.
And again, here, listeners would probably be interested in the importance of standardized carbon measurement and certifications. Again, it was kind of a episode that's a bit out of the norm, which is always great to listen to because you get those new tidbits. Next would be episode 146 with Tamara, and that's exploring climate smart agriculture and sustainability in fresh produce. And really, this is kind of reshifting how people think about sustainability in food systems and showing that operational choices have effects across the supply chain. So as consumers, we all consume fresh produce, I hope. I'm sure it was an interesting episode to listen to and apply to whatever industry you're in. Next, again, another amazing reoccurring guest. I'm sure we'll have him on next year. Episode 150, Stephen Shork, Hedging the Future, AI, Renewables, and the Energy Market Shakeup. And really here, audiences are looking to listen to how AI and predictive modeling are transforming energy markets and influencing decision-making at every level. So that was a really great episode with Stephen. Any surprises there?
No.
I'll give you another bit of statistics before we hop into the next episode. So talking about the 360 on Energy and Carbon's 2025 growth, we've had a 23% increase in our total audience.
Great.
A 900% increase in total new audience.
Whoa.
And an increase in 35% of followers.
Wow, that's very good.
So our new audience I think they really liked the diversity of episodes that we've had on. I think this year we've really gotten out of our comfort zone, or been able to meet with so many new guests from all over the world. And our list that really shows in the listeners that we've captured there.
That's
okay,
good.
Next question. Really interesting question. If someone was listening at a senior management or executive level, what are the top 3 episodes that you would recommend?
You're up, John.
Okay. Well, I think we've got to go with Catherine and Nestle. I think we have to do that.
Check.
I'm going to have them listen to Helena on Finland, because I think that there's lessons they could learn from that. And I'm going to hit them with 158 again, energy security.
Okay.
Dave?
So this one's going to come out of the blue from you guys. You're going to go, what? Okay, so I have the first one, which was kind of maybe a shell shocker for people, is episode 145 with Dick Bacher talking about localizing renewable energy and reshaping the grid. So for our listeners, and I encourage you to listen to it, it's a cooperative in parts of Ontario that they're literally working with organizations to put distributed generation, whether it's battery or solar, in a location, and that people share. Not only do they share in the revenue, but they also have power. Why I think it's so. I think this is leading edge. I think this is we're going to see more distributed generation, and I think this model will be something that I think different industrial parks or different people may consider. And by the way, I even though the utilities currently may not be that interested in that, I think they'll want to be, because there'll be possibly a shortage of power. So they'll want to find ways of getting power into different parks. So I thought that was, so that might be a shocker, because executives go, what the heck would I be listening to that? I'm saying, related to energy security, this is a thing that you should be listening to, John. Then I had Catherine O'Brien, John, same as you. And then again, because I think finance is really important. I had 160 with Nicole on the lessons from down under from Australia. I had those as the three.
Yeah. And I think on the finance one, it is interesting. We touched on it in our COP30 episode, that finance was a thing there. But what was interesting, a lot of the talk about finance was really for adaptability rather than mitigation. So, yeah. But I think you are so right. I mean, I believe there is a song, and it comes from Cabaret, the musical, and it's "Money Makes the World Go Round," and there's a truth in that, isn't there? Whether you want to subscribe to communism or capitalism or whatever, money is it's the scorecard, it's a driver, it's an enabler. Yeah.
All right, so with the headset that executives are looking for strategic insights, operational foresight, and market awareness, first episode would be episode 152, Ed Crooks, Climate Policy and Market Dynamics. And really, this just touched on how global policy changes the markets, changes investment flows, and helps you develop your long-term business strategy. Second one should be no surprise. I think it was on all three of ours. Episode 147, Catherine O'Brien, Leader Series, Nestle Canada's Journey to Sustainability. Again, it just shows how a large organization embedded sustainability into their operations. And I mean, we're all consumers. At least I am a major consumer of Nestle products. I'm currently consuming a Nestle product. So it is cool to listen to this and kind of apply it to your own industry. And the third one, I don't think we've mentioned this one yet, but I could be wrong. Episode 148, Greg Carley. Have we mentioned it yet?
No,
we haven't.
So episode 148, Gregory Carley, Transforming Business with Canadian Sustainability Rules. Now, again, this is a Canadian-based episode, but it does provide some practical guidance on aligning corporate strategy with evolving regulations, and I think that can be applied to anyone's industry. Also, anytime you are listening to a podcast that talks about regulations, you kind of have to take it almost a bit with a grain of salt, just because regulations do change. And it's really that you're listening for the principle of the episode rather than the actual factual things at times. So I thought those three were good ones. Now, let me see if I have any more statistics to share with you before we get to our next episode. Okay, we are a top 10 show for 57 fans. We're a top 5 show for 36 fans. And we're a number 1 show for 8 fans. I can tell you it's not me, because I do not want to re-listen to these episodes.
Me neither.
That's because I don't like to hear myself talk.
No.
I stopped listening because I couldn't stand listening to myself as well. So
it's not us, which is great. 8 other people like to listen to us.
Wow.
And I'll have one more statistic for after our next question. So, all right. What was the audience What do you think would be the audience's biggest takeaway or their aha moment?
That is,
Yeah.
I will start on this.
Okay, you go ahead, John.
I think that their biggest takeaway should be we are facing significant issues both in energy supply and climate change, and there within that there are business opportunities.
Uh, Ditto. That was one of the things I had, John, and I think we hammer this all the time of how economically it's just people just don't know it's the benefits associated with it. I'm gonna one I would add is that I mean energy is it's a big part of our world, and but it's concentrated by a few. Like if you think about customers, it's normally only a few people have responsibility in it if they have it at all, and so it's really a concentrated effort or focus by certain people, industries. In my view, that has to change because it has to be democratized more because there's more people that can add more value and looking at it differently. And what we have experienced, John and I, in working with different clients, is that when you start sharing this information and knowledge by a variety from the executive to people throughout the whole organization, things start changing much faster. And I think the energy world that we live, or the world that we live, things are going to have to move much faster because of the advent of possibly not having energy available when we need it. So I think the speed will need more people to be energy literate. John, favorite topic we have.
Yes.
And they'll have to be more involved in making decisions, from executives to accountants to procurement people to engineering to make. So I just think that will be very, very important as we go forward.
Can I add a bit more in here, because I just something that's come into my head, and it's driven slightly by, we had Australia and we had Finland showing what can be done at a country level, but I would observe, following the media this year, that climate change has become too political in the wrong way, and the politics have become, it's a problem to be ignored rather than it's a problem to be solved, or it's all hype. And I think one of the things that came out of our episodes this year, there are a lot of people out there, significant people doing things, who believe climate change is an issue we need to deal with, and that there are actions that you can take. But when we're getting, and I think we probably touched on this when we had Stephen, when we get the right wing weaponising climate change as a negative policy, I think that is an issue, and I hope that over the course of the year, our listeners perhaps have seen that that is not a true and fair view of what is going on.
I'm going to add one more thing because it related to Ed Crooks when we talked to him. So they have a very solid podcast. And he said, most of the people we have are from the United States. And he conveyed it's really rare that they have someone from different countries. Although he said we should start doing that. I think we picked up on that, and we started to get people from around the world. And
Yeah.
I would say Finland, Australia,
Colombia.
you name it. The things that we learned from the different countries was invaluable, and I think that's the type of knowledge and diversity and information that we need to have, because then it's not just one way thinking. And I thought our podcast this year, because of the diversity, was really, really important for our audience to hear that diversity and how it works. So I thought that was important.
We've hosted our own COP almost.
Yeah, we have.
Oh,
We're gonna have to come up with a new word, though.
yeah.
All right, so I'm going to take a bit of a different approach, but it does highlight what you both said. So there's 3 more episodes that I don't think I'd mentioned that you both have mentioned, one of them or 2 of them. But I would say that these probably gave our our listeners a shift in perspective. They were some of our top episodes as well. Episode 151, Gerard Leonard, Customer Expectations in Corporate Sustainability. Here it really highlights, customer behavior changes faster than corporations ever could. So it's a really good listen from that perspective. 153, Helena Soren, which is Finland's path to carbon neutrality. Again, it highlights that national level planning and policy integration. Again, it can accelerate change faster than individual corporate initiatives at times, and that was really what was highlighted there. Next is episode 155, Lascari, which is Green-Spiring European Heavy Industries. Again, industrial decarbonization is happening now. It's not happening in the future. Just depends where you are, depends what policies you're following, depends what country you're in. So it really was a reshaping of timelines and how you can kind of approach it. So 3 episodes that I think were really good at highlighting what we're dealing with in 2025. Okay, my last statistic for you guys. Our show was in the top 25% of videos on Spotify. So
what?
Hello to our video listeners. Not sure why you would want to look at us, but thank
you. Really? So it's true. Do you guys not have anything better to do?
But thank you for watching us, and thank you for listening.
Yeah. True.
Yes, thank you, everyone. All kidding aside.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, what lesson do we hope listeners take away from episodes 143 to 163 of the 360 on Energy and Carbon podcast?
Do you want to go, John? Or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I'll go. I just want to say, I think we've mentioned nearly every episode except 149 in emissions to aviation. Unless, and we're not excluding that, I think that is an important one. I think, as we said earlier, if we thought something didn't have value, it wouldn't be on our playlist.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make my thing quite simple. And it's not because we're involved, it's because we're involved and we've had really good guests that we've worked with. I think 143 to 164 provides you an incredibly valuable resource and insight into carbon, energy and sustainability. And guess what? All it will cost you is the time to listen to it.
I don't think I could say anything better. It's gold dust. I'll say this, and again, I pardon our listeners because John and I and Lysandra, we're all in the energy industry, by the way, and we think a lot of people truthfully take it for granted. We do. I mean, society does. I don't think you should take it for granted anymore. I think you should learn as much as you can going forward. And these podcasts, by the way, for here and the past and the ones coming up, there is so much knowledge you can gain that I think will be helpful, not only for you personally in life, but also for your businesses and society. So I hope people feel the same way on that as well.
Yeah.
I just want to add to, a lot of times we get emails about potential guests, and we really do care about who we have on our show. We always want to make sure that you have the best possible information in your ears whenever you listen to us. So it isn't just, we don't just take anybody. So all the episodes that we've published are really episodes that we believe in, guests we believe in, topics we believe in. We may not agree with everybody, but again, it's about having that diversity of thought and openness to learning about anything and everything in the energy industry.
Yeah, and adding, overlaying on that, both from a 360 point of view and our guests, none of these podcasts are a sales pitch. They're all about getting more knowledge, understanding things better. And I think that's good because I think we're very transparent. A guest comes on and they're from a particular company, why they've got perhaps the perspective that they have. And I think that is important because we live in a bit of a misinformation age, and I hope that we are actually leading to providing good quality information that people can rely on.
And I John and I have been doing this a little longer than Lysandra, but every episode we have, and whether you think, oh, well, I'm not going to learn too much. Every episode we learn something. It's just fascinating, the guests we have and what we uncover. So it is a pleasure to do this with you guys, but it's also a pleasure to have these guests with us, and they're expanding our knowledge base. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
And it's nice to know from what Lysandra's telling us, there are people out there listening to us, that we're not just talking into a tin can.
To end off this episode, what I thought would be interesting, I put all our descriptions of all our episodes into a nice little AI bot, and I got our top 10 recap topics. So this is really everything that we've covered this year.
Okay.
So number 1, energy storage and grid stability. Number 2, renewable energy deployment and decentralization. 3, energy markets, AI and risk management. 4, energy security and infrastructure resilience. 5, sustainable finance and ESG integration. 6, climate policy, regulation, and market dynamics. 7, corporate sustainability strategies and governance. 8, industrial and aviation decarbonization. 9, carbon measurement, certification, and reporting. And last but not least, 10, sustainable agriculture, supply chains, and operational optimization. So really, we did the whole 360 on energy and carbon.
We really did.
All right. Well, it's been another great year. Thanks, Dave and John.
Lysandra, John, thank you to both of you as well.
Yeah, I have to say, this is one of those things. Sometimes we're saying about learning from things and everything else like this. If we were different people, this would be a chore to do. Oh, we've got to do another podcast. I always look forward to them, and I end up afterwards, and I don't know about you two, I end up afterwards talking to somebody, hey, you never guess who I was talking to today and what I learned.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree. I think it's like it's so much fun, and I think sometimes, when we're so busy with our meetings and all the things that we do on a day-to-day basis, sometimes the podcast is like, oh, we're recording today, and then you go through it and you learn so much and you leave feeling so good after these episodes, because it's just a reminder that there's passionate people out there, there's people that are experts in their industry, and there's always room to learn more. So.
And I would like to say to our audience, if you're still with us, there is some really great episodes coming up, really good episodes. And so certainly solar community based, there's a lot of good things, sustainability. So keep listening. And if you could, spread the word, because I think there's some real value here as well.
And we need to put something in here. This podcast is not us three and our guests. There's the back office that makes it work, that removes all our errors, improves our looks, makes it more of a flowing product, and promotes it. We've got to give a shout out to all of those doing that.
Yes, John, really good point. We do that, and I think Sustainable Biz publication here in Canada utilizes some of our podcasts as well. So thank you, Sustainable Biz, for your support. To be clear, we don't get paid. This is just something that they use to give to their audience. So thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for another great episode. Talk to you next year.
Okay, guys. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.